When you hear the sound of the bell, you know you're in the championship rounds. Let's get to it. Before we do, let's do some housekeeping. Shout out to the Black Rose, Czarina McCoy, fighting out of Las Vegas by way of Atlanta, Georgia. She is the new IBO International Super Featherweight Division champion. Got to congratulate her. She's a 12-2 fighter. Very, very diligent, very, very serious, marketable. She's down with Split T Management. I'll talk more about another Split T signee momentarily, but we always got to make sure we acknowledge those that are doing the groundwork to continue to establish women's boxing, to continue the tradition within boxing. So let's talk about, I guess, breaking traditions, changing traditions, and how this could be a bit of chess. I mentioned it a couple weeks ago, man. When I saw Amanda Serrano go the whole, 12 rounds, 3-minute rounds, I knew it was chess and not checkers. So I'm not sure if she offered Nicholson the fight under those conditions. But she vacated, man, and there's a lot of mixed feelings about this. So first things first, let's not use the word duck. We can say avoid. Quite honestly, though, you got to show some respect. All right, she is the Amanda Serrano, that is undisputed featherweight champion, long reigning, 7 divisions. So when you get to that point in your career, I think it's fair, and it's not a criticism to say a fighter like Serrano wants to avoid Skye Nicolson. That's what you do when you can call the shots. Now, do I like the shot? Maybe not. Maybe I'd like to see Serrano against the young upstart, like the changing of the guard, But again, I think that's being more of a traditionalist than accepting, that fighters, especially those that are as marketable as Serrano, they kind of get to do what they want. But in the eyes of fans, it still has to make sense. So I'm sure that Serrano, I don't know if she's going to wait out for that. See, and that's what I don't want. That's the thing. You get to call your own shots. You're the boss. But for me, you don't fight the young upstart in your division, but you go and take the bag fight. To most people's common sense, bag fight. Go up 2 divisions to somebody that ain't really hanging around 135. She just fought at 140, and y'all still gonna. And maybe it's the get back, because those of us that know, we watched Serrano beat Taylor the first time, so maybe she just wants to get back. I don't know, but yeah, Serrano gets to call the shots. A lot of us don't like the shot, but it's her shot to call. Meanwhile, Skye Nicolson, she has to defend herself in a lot of ways, and there are a lot of fair criticisms. Okay, she's been very active from the beginning of her career, and that's what you call moving a fighter along. So yes, I think the explanation was spoon-fed. I guess you could say that. How else do babies learn to eat? She made it to the interim champion, and I know how these things can get tricky, but that's why. That's why when you have somebody, when you don't think they belong and they talking like they belong, the boss, the landlord, they supposed to come in and shut it down. So I guess that's where the anticipation was. For those that believe that Nicholson is spoon-fed and has been carried along and she's getting special privileges, somebody come and shut her up. Which brings me to, I guess, my next point. Now, we're going to talk about a fighter named Tiara Brown. She is a Olympian featherweight fighter, just signed not too long ago with Split T Management, and she is not getting the I guess the recognition that a fighter of her skill deserves. I'll say that. I guess a fighter of her skill believes she deserves. She's not getting it. And coincidentally, there's another side to the whole thing. And it's about, again, Amanda Serrano being gracious and creating opportunities. We saw what she did for her friend Heather Hardy. She gave her a bag, right? She does a lot for the people behind her. So maybe she was thinking about making room for Tiara Brown. Um, Again, maybe you say, well, why not fight Tiara Brown? Then you can say, well, Tiara Brown's not ranked, yada, yada, yada. But again, I find it gracious in vacating the title, and we'll get to the reason the whole 12 round. I find it gracious in Serrano vacating the title because, as Bud Crawford did with Boots Ennis, it's like, yo, you don't have to let this person tie their legacy to me. If they need this belt, here, they can have it, and let them go out and do what they need to do. Um, so yeah, now Tiara Brown is in the mix. So now what's going to happen is Skye Nicolson, the hunter, becomes the hunted. You feel like you hunted Amanda Serrano and you earned your WBC title. Well, Tiara Brown, she's coming for you. And there's only going to be for so long that people that are not aware of women's boxing are not going to know that she's after you, Skye. So heavy is the head who bears the crown, and nobody knows that better than King Amin of Essex. We'll see how this one turns out. This weekend, it's pretty light on the women's boxing, but you do have, like I mentioned before, Ebanie Bridges. Can't wait for the weigh-in, and I can't wait to see how she looks in her return. Yeah, but we all know, Miss Shurretta Metcalf, she is waiting for her opportunity. So I'm hoping that Bridges does the honorable thing. She's been so honorable in her career as far as a fighter, a great business person. So I'm guessing that she's going to give Metcalf the opportunity when the time is right, sometime next year on a nice matchroom card. So yeah, man, women's boxing is boxing, and this is our thing. I might get at y'all with some championship rounds. I know there's a lot of talk about Haney-Prograis. I got my eye on Power of Love on that card, so maybe maybe I'll be back sooner than later. But until then, get your grades today started off real great. Movement is medicine. Stay dangerous. Yada yada.